What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the DFS OGs podcast presented by FanDuel. Back talking everything Week 10 in the NFL. I'm your host, Beer, as always, joined by my boys, Head Chopper and Notorious, to break everything down here. We want to hear from you guys out there. So if you're in the chat, you got questions, sound off. Love talking to you guys about football, about Week 9, Week 10, whatever it may be you want to talk about. We'll go game by game with our favorite picks in DFS, our favorite bets as well, and we'll track how those bets are doing throughout the season. So we'll update you on our standings. We're kind of seeing some separation going on there. So we'll get to that. We'll also highlight some of the best performers in Week 9 in our FanDuel OGs contest. Make sure you guys are checking that out. FanDuel.com/OG, single entry contest, just a $7 buy-in, season-long payouts. We'll talk more about that as we go, but we'll take a look at the top 5 finishers last week, including a familiar name we got to give a shout out to, and we'll update the season-long leaderboard as well. So a lot to get to here this week, a lot of games here on the main slate. Chop, let's start with you this week. How was Week 9, and how we doing, buddy?
Week 9 was just your standard forgettable week. I mean, it's kind of like dragging on here in the NFL. I don't know. I haven't really caught that hot week yet, but hopefully it's coming. Otherwise, it's everything's good, man. I could tell you a story. I don't know if I want to share it though on there.
You can't do that. Yep, the rules say you have to.
Still a little shook, man. I'm still a little shook, but
all right, let's hear it.
Oh, man, you're gonna drag it out of me, man. So
we got to.
It's not. So just let this be a warning for you guys out there. That's what more than anything. Like, so I had a washer dryer and I'm trying to transport it to another residence, to another house, So I had it in my garage for like the last 2 months because we got a new one. So I was just waiting on the right time. Needed some help. Don't have a truck. Don't have a hitch on my truck. So I can't go get a trailer or anything. So I needed some help. And I was calling around and everything's like $250 is minimum of 2 hours, like $250 or $300 to move this stuff. I'm like, whoa, that's too much, man. So I went on Craigslist and I was like, let me see if I can find somebody cheaper to do it. Sure enough, some guy instantly responded, $70. I got an F-150. Like, oh, done. Let's do it. Can you do it? Can you do it today? This was yesterday. He's like, yeah, I can do it right after lunch, 1:00. I'm like, bang, let's do it. Comes over with his F-150, backs it up in the driveway. I got the garage door open, and the washer dryer's right there. Like, he doesn't even say hi, man. He doesn't introduce himself. He's like, this is it. Let's do it. I'm like, all right. So I help him out a little bit because he needed some help. So I loaded up in the back of his truck, and he's like, he's got it loaded up, and he's got his car's on, and he's walking to his car. He's like, text me the address as he's getting in and shutting his door. And as he pulled away, I'm thinking, oh my God, I just got, man. He just stole my washer and dryer. What else am I going to do here? It was the most like unsettling feeling in the world, watching him drive away and just thinking, how did I fall into that trap right there? How did I fall for that trap? It was bizarre, man. But luckily, when he said, text me the address, I pulled out my phone and I was quick enough to snap a couple of snapshots of his license plate. So everything worked out fine. Let's put it like that. But I got, man. So you got to be careful out there, guys. You got to be careful out there, man.
Chop, you seem a little bit more street smart than that. I'm surprised at this. I mean, it seems like you got the chops.
One of my number one flaws is impatience. And when I want to get something done, I want to do it. And I don't want to wait around. I don't want to wait an hour or much less a day or two. So when he said do it, I was like, let's just knock this out and get it over with. So I like half of it's on me for just being so impatient. But yeah, man, that's why you don't use that Craigslist, man.
Craigslist is nothing but problems from what I've heard. So I just tend to avoid that. Chop, I got a comment on your hat too. If you're watching us on video, I'm going to throw a guess out here. Texas, San Antonio? The logo looks familiar. I know you're a San Antonio guy. Is that a little UTSA there you're rocking?
UTSA Roadrunner. Somehow these guys are like top 20 in the nation, man, and they got a really good team. So give them a little love.
Yep. Yeah, it's cool to see some of those teams into the top 20. No, we're not leaving you out, buddy. Chopping it, so we had to get that in there. But how are you? How was week 9? I know you're on the NBA grind. So, again, appreciate you carving out some time. There's like 1,000 games on the slate tonight. So, how is Notorious? I know you got probably some NBA fatigue going on already.
Yeah, it was a pretty ugly week of football, ugly week of DFS, and yeah, don't even have any good stories like Chop. He's always got the good stories, the good phrases that we can use. I still think of the what is it, red on a head, like a dick on a dog, or well, I don't remember exactly, but that was one of my favorites over the years.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Chop can work that into the analysis here. But yeah, Chop's going to be that old man. Grandpa, tell me a story. He's going to have a million stories, and I'm going to be the guy with Alzheimer's that can barely remember anything. But we are here to talk Week 10. Again, we're going to walk you through each and every game, give us some of our initial thoughts on the slate, some of our favorite bets here. So let's just jump into things here, guys. We'll skip over Thursday. We'll stick to the main slate. Again, we'll kind of update our standings and everything towards the end of the show. But first game, we got Buffalo and the Jets. Derek, congratulations, first of all. I don't think any of us saw that coming. Anybody in the survivor pool is probably very upset with the Buffalo Bills, but somehow your Jags pull it off. But now Buffalo gets another good matchup here with the Jets. Jets got throttled in Indianapolis, gave up a ton of production to Jonathan Taylor. So, Derek, we'll start with you. We'll get a little victory lap here on your Jags, and we're going to talk about them later in the show. But how does Buffalo respond here, I guess, is the question. It can another lackluster effort. Do they put it together and throttle this Jets team? Injury-wise, we got to keep an eye on Zach Moss. Did not practice today, so it's still in the concussion protocol. Jets side, sounds like they're getting Corey Davis back, and it sounds like it's going to be Mike White under center this week. So, Derek, big spread here, a pretty big total as well. Thoughts here, Buffalo and the Jets.
Yeah, just wild seeing the Jags win last week. I don't know if the win was more surprising or the fact that they held the Bills to 6 points. Pretty crazy. But you got to think the Bills are going to take out some anger on the Jets. The Jets bottom 3 defense against the run, bottom 3 defense against the pass. And, yeah, I don't think they're going to take the foot off the gas in this one. I like Allen. I like Diggs. I like pretty much this whole offense. And then you mentioned it, Zach Moss is questionable. So if he ends up being out, I got to think it's a pretty good spot for Devin Singletary as well. And for the Jets, I mean, with White under center, he's been looking at the running backs a lot. He's basically just been, kind of the dump off king. And if he's under center, I don't mind, looking to Michael Carter as a value play in this one as a bring back to your Bill stacks. As far as my pick goes, I am going to take Buffalo. I think they bounce back in a big way. I know it's a big spread. I know we hate betting on large favorites on the road, but I'm going to do it anyway and take the Bills.
All right, Chop, over to you here. Same questions. If Singletary is the guy, I think he's one of the better value plays, so we'll see what happens with Moss. But does Buffalo respond here, or do we get another spirited effort out of the Jets and they keep this one close or potentially upset this Buffalo team?
Yeah, the Jets play with a lot of energy. I give him that much. And Mike White, he looks a lot better than Zach Wilson did. So I think they'll be all right. And for DFS purposes, it's still a tough Buffalo defense. So I don't know how much I can go there. On Buffalo side, I'm with Notorious in that. Yeah, I think this is a big offensive bounce back game. That was a disaster last week. So I expect Allen to Diggs quite a bit, and just a really much better effort out of Buffalo. That is a lot of points on the road, man. I'm gonna have to see what Beer says first. Then I'll give you a pick afterwards because I got to think about it for me. You threw me off guard with the first game.
All right, I'm locked in. I'm going with the over in this game. I do think Buffalo responds. I do think they put points on the board, but I do think this Jets offense with White, who, he checks down a lot, but he's going to take his chances here. This is a very good Buffalo defense, but I think there's going to be points scored in this game, whether it's Buffalo running out to a lead, and we kind of see what we saw last week with the Jets putting points on late, or if it's competitive. I'm going to lock in the over sitting at 47.5 right now in the FanDuel Sportsbook. So, Chop, you got one Buffalo, one over. Where do you want to go on this one?
We got a Buffalo, we got an over, so we're not in danger of a parlay card here early on. This is a tough one, but yeah, give me go ahead and give me Buffalo. I don't want to play the Jets, so I'll take Buffalo.
All right, speaking of the parlay card last week, was a one-teamer, was the Miami Dolphins minus the 6.5. And as ugly as it was, Dolphins coming out a winner. So we'll see if we can build us a two-team, three-teamer, whatnot. So I want to give a shout-out to some of the guys in the chat. Brian Baker talking about the Cowboys and Survivor. I know that was another team that really messed a lot of people up. I'm imagining a lot of survivor pools died with Buffalo and Dallas last week. So some regulars, we want to give a shout out to our boy Don Yeezy, Josh Duck, always great supporters of the show. Marcus Scott giving us a shout out. So welcome to the show. He's got some questions we'll get to here with Corey Davis coming back. Yes, he's supposed to be back, Marcus, this week. So it looks like a full allotment of weapons there, if you want to call them weapons, for the Jets with Davis, Moore, and Jamison Crowder. And that, to me, also helps the overplay. They're a little bit stronger offensively. So next game, New Orleans and Tennessee. We got the Titans -3, 44.5 on this total chop. Tennessee, got to be impressed. Go out to LA and beat the Rams very convincingly. Defense played great, really slowed that Rams offense down. Other side of this one, New Orleans, not so much. A disappointing game there with Atlanta. So quarterback-wise, they sound like Simeon's going to be the guy again. I was kind of surprised it wasn't Taysom Hill. So we'll see if they make that change. It sounds like they're going back to Simeon from all reports this week. Tennessee side, Adrian Peterson. It was ugly. Found the end zone, but only 21 yards rushing in that one. So Chop, this one interesting, kind of a middling total. Two defenses that Tennessee's playing better. We know New Orleans, very good defense here. Not a ton I like here. I love A.J. Brown in this spot. New Orleans has been terrible against receivers, but all in all, this feels like one of those I'm not going to have a ton of exposure to in DFS this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. The New Orleans offense is going to be really bad from here on out, I think. And Tennessee is going to struggle. Obviously, they don't have the big dog in there, so there's going to be weeks where I think they put it together through the air, and other weeks where they just struggle altogether. So I think I'm with you there. DFS doesn't look like a whole lot, and if I can't really find a bunch of plays I like, and by the way, I do think either AJ Brown or Julio Jones is a solid play. I can't really pick which one. I don't know. I think one of them is a solid play, and other than that, nothing. So if I don't like these guys in DFS, I tend to think a game can go under. So I'm going under here.
All right. It's Brown for me, Derek. I mean, 9, 9, 11 targets over the last 4 weeks. So he's kind of established himself as that number one receiver. So really like Brown. I don't hate Julio if you need to save a little bit of money. Chop, what was it? You're going under? I'm going with Tennessee here, -3. And I know we had some comments in the chat. They're going to come crashing back down to earth. I like the way they're playing right now, and maybe not having to give the ball to Derrick Henry 35 times will open things up a little bit more for Brown, for McNichols, who wasn't great last week. But I think at home, Derek, this Titans team takes care of business. So thoughts here? What do you got, Saints and Titans?
Yeah, I agree with you guys for the most part. Don't love a lot in this game. I do still have a little bit of interest in Alvin Kamara. I mean, they ended up losing last week because he only got 17 touches. I think they're going to force feed him the ball. I know Ingram was way too involved, but maybe the coaches will see that. Maybe not, but hopefully they will. I mean, I think Kamara makes a lot more sense with Simeon under center. So I don't mind looking at him, especially if he's going to be a little bit lower on this week. On the other side, I agree with you. Brown's been getting all the looks recently. Might get the Lattimore treatment, so maybe that does open up some things for Julio. And question for you guys. So AP, 10 carries, 21 yards last week. Saints number one in run defense so far this season. Over under on 2 yards per carry for AP this week.
Under. Easy. Under. Chop.
Just when you count this guy out, he always bounces back. So I'll take the over.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to trust him in DFS, but that sounds about right, 2 yards a carry. So tough matchups for both of these running games, no doubt. Kamara can get there by way of the passing game, but kind of ugly all in all. Derek, you got a bet on this one. We got a Tennessee on the board. We got an under on the board.
I'm with Chop on this one. I'm going under.
All right, next game we get to Chop's Dallas Cowboys. We don't get a victory lap here, Chop. I don't know what the hell happened in that one. Denver comes in and throttles this team. Was 30-0 at one point, so kind of a surprising output there. I was really high in Dallas last week, and they just didn't get it done. So we'll stay with Derek here to start. Derek, we got Cowboys -9, 55 on the total. So is this the spot they bounce back? It's almost the same question as Buffalo. I think a lot of people are going to shy away from Dallas, even in a high total game. They'll still have some ownership, no doubt. But the question is, who do you go with here? Is it Zeke and Pollard? Is it the passing game? Looks like Michael Gallup's going to be back. So a lot of questions there. Atlanta, it's basically been a one-man show. It's been Cordero Patterson. Does that continue as well here, Derek? So lots of questions. Looks like a game could have some fireworks here. What do you got with Cowboys and Falcons?
Yeah, it was pretty ugly last week for Dallas, but I mean, they had 2 fourth downs in their own territory that they didn't get in the first part of the game. And ever after that, they just struggled to get anything going. So I'm not overly concerned. Great bounce back spot. Atlanta's 28th in DVOA against the pass, 27th in DVOA against the run. You can attack them any way you want. I personally like Zeke quite a bit. He's played at least 70% of the snaps in every game but one so far this season. But you can also play Dak with Cooper. CeeDee Lamb had a bunch of air yards last week, so I think he's viable as well. And, yeah, you can just stack them up as a whole. Problem is I don't love any of the bringbacks, really. I mean, Russell Gage got it going a little bit last week. Kyle Pitts obviously has some upside, but I don't know. I guess Cordero Patterson, 14 or more PPR points in 6 straight games, which is interesting. They continue to get him more looks around the goal line, so – I guess there are some interesting bringbacks, and for that reason, I'm going to take the 55. Maybe not. I was naturally going to just say the
big
over.
Number, man.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to take the under.
Okay.
Even though I like all the pieces.
I'm not going to lie. I'm torn on this one. I don't have a strong lean. I can make a case that Dallas is going to come and bounce back and wipe this team off the map. I can make the case that Atlanta is playing much better lately. A big win last week, so I'm gonna pull a Chop here. I'm gonna wait and see what the crowd puts on the board here. Chop, your team here obviously disappointing last week. If they bounce back, how so? Is it the passing game, the running game, or both here against Atlanta?
Yeah, I think this is a bounce back spot, and I think just a really flat effort last week. I don't really know what else to say about it. So for Atlanta here, I think that there's some fantasy value in the garbage time kind of comeback mode, because I think that's what Atlanta will be in. And so when you get a guy like Kyle Pitts or Cordell Patterson in that comeback mode with Matt Ryan, you can rack up stats pretty quick in the late third quarter and fourth quarter. So I think they're in play because of that. But I think Dallas can hang a lot of points in this game, whichever way they want to do it. And just based on the way it looked last week, I think it's going to be a Dak Prescott game. I think he's I don't want to say, I think sort of embarrassed about how that played out last week. So I think it's going to be a big Dak game. Now, if you get Gallup back, this may be the end of Dalton Schultz season. Like he may be like the 4th or 5th or 6th option now. So I don't know how much I like Schultz, but Cooper Lamb, one of those guys, I think has a good game. Elliott's always a threat. Even in a Dak Prescott game, Elliott is a threat to score multiple touchdowns. So he's on the table. They're all on the table for me for Dallas. But ultimately, I think Dallas blows them out. So I'm taking Dallas here with the given the points.
That's where I landed as well, Chop. I think this is a good bounce back spot, and you may have a little bit of recency bias here. People looking at how bad Dallas played last week, how good Atlanta played this week, and I think Atlanta probably a very public team this week for those reasons. So fading the public, never a bad idea. So I'm going to go with you on Dallas minus the 9. Next one, Cleveland and New England. New England minus 1.5 as of right now, 45.5 on that total here in the FanDuel Sportsbook. So this one, the story, COVID, once again, rearing its ugly head. Looks like Nick Chubb going to miss this game. Demetric Felton also placed on the COVID list. So Chop, looks like we get another D'Ernest Johnson spot here. Now, maybe not as juicy of a matchup as we saw on that Thursday night game where he was electric, but got to like him as a value play here. I guess we'll kind of see what the ownership looks like. New England side, running back questions there as well. We saw Harris and Stevenson both banged up in that last game. So we'll see who's able to return here. But Chop, to be honest, another middling total. Two teams that spread the ball out a ton, so tough to really trust any of these receivers, even with no Odell Beckham. We saw Donovan Peoples-Jones have a big play, but Landry was basically a zero last week. So I'm intrigued by Johnson. If he's not going to be overly owned, they're clearly comfortable giving him the ball, but a tough spot here against New England. So pretty much a fade in this one for me, Chop. You seeing anything that I'm not seeing in this game?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say anything too much different. I don't like the matchup for Cleveland, so I won't go there. But I will say that we've said it for a while now. Baker is a better quarterback without Odell out there, and he was not bad last week at all. That's a tough matchup in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a good defense this year. He was really efficient last week and scored a couple of touchdowns and didn't have to do very much because it was a blowout. So, but I'm not taking him against New England. And if I'm not taking him, I don't have a lot of hope for his wide receivers in this matchup. I think you can definitely play the volume here at running back, the last man standing. So take the volume. Volume always wins out in DFS, man. That's in the long run. So take that with probably Chubb and Felton gone for the game, and Kareem Hunt's not returning anytime soon. So the volume there for New England. I'm just not a fan of this offense with the way they play it with Mac Jones out there. He's just such a game manager. Like, we want to make Jacoby Myers a thing. He's not really a thing. And the other guys, I mean, Hunter Henry, you're like, you have to have a touchdown out of Hunter Henry or else you're a bust in that game. And even with a touchdown, there's not much upside. So he's got to score a couple touchdowns to have any upside. So I don't like any of the passing weapons. And I'm just, not a running back game for me here either. So DFS, I really don't like any of these guys very much except for the volume on the Cleveland running back. But and if I don't like them, I'm going to stick with my old tried and true method. I got to take the under here.
Yep, I'm on the same. Two teams that love to run the ball. Clock could be running here. Could be kind of ugly here. Two defenses that are very good as well. So I like the under on that number as well. So Derek, an opportunity to get a little bit different here if you want. An opportunity to add the first leg of the parlay card. What are we going to do here? Cleveland and New England.
Definitely not a game I'm looking to stack. I did read that Nick Chubb, since he has been vaccinated, still has a chance to return if he can have back-to-back negative tests. So I'm not certain that he's going to be out, but it's kind of looking that way. And, if he's out, give me all the Dearness Johnson. I know the matchup's tough, but Cleveland's offensive line, third best in the league in run blocking this season. So love the spot for him. As Chop mentioned, you chase the volume there. And I have to give my weekly Jacoby Myers update. Still hasn't found the end zone. I'm admitting I have a Myers problem, and I'm getting treatment for it. So I won't be playing him this week, which means this is going to be the week he scores his first career touchdown. And I will also be adding to the parlay card. Give me the under.
All right, first leg is in, under 45.5, Cleveland and New England. So maybe we got to fire up Jacoby this week, Chop. Noto's bailed on us on guys before, and it's paid off. So. Derek, I hear you. We all got guys. We're trying to make work each and every week. It's just not happening. And one of you guys mentioned Kareem Hunt. They already came out and said he will not be returning here in Week 10. So they're going to have to go out and get somebody if Chubb is not available. But I don't think that's going to eat into Johnson at all. Again, the guy that they were very comfortable with given the full workload too in that Thursday night game. So let's move on to our next game. We got Detroit traveling to Pittsburgh. Detroit coming off a bye. Pittsburgh barely surviving the other night. And the story there, Pat Freiermuth coming out of, I wouldn't say out of nowhere. This guy was highly touted out of Penn State, a very athletic touchdown maker. So we're starting to see it play out here in the NFL just earlier than most tight ends. Najee Harris, though, Derek, I think there's a couple running backs here that we're going to talk about as maybe the best option as far as raw fantasy points go. We'll see what ownership bears out, but Najee Harris in a pretty damn good spot here against a terrible Lions defense.
Yeah, for the first time in what feels like a month, we've actually got some good options to spend up at running back. A lot of the big names have been out recently, so I love the spot for Najee Harris. There are a lot of good running back plays, but I think he's going to be my favorite spend of the week. He's a guy that you can count on playing 90+% of the snaps. We know Big Ben not really looking to, throw the ball down the field all that much. He likes to check the ball down. And obviously, great matchup at home against the Lions, big favorites, kind of everything we're looking for from a running back play. So love the spot for Harris. Don't mind looking to Johnson and Claypool in tournaments, but if I don't love the quarterback, I don't really, want to load up on the wide receivers, especially in a game where, I think they're going to be playing with a pretty big lead. So give me Harris, and I'll pair him up with the Steelers defense. Pretty much a full fade for me on the Lions. I know, Swift has been the garbage time hero so far this season, and he burned everyone his last time out. So perhaps there's a game theory play there, but I think the Steelers roll. Give me them to cover the big spread at home.
Yeah, I also like Pittsburgh minus the 9. This Detroit team just looks terrible right now, and really tough to find that run back option. So I'm with you, Derek. It's a pairing of Harris and the Steelers defense. I don't think this passing game is going to need to go crazy here. Claypool a little bit banged up, so we'll keep an eye on that status. Maybe get a little bit more James Washington for some value. Ben coming out saying he's dealing with a shoulder injury, so a lot of questions there. But I have 0 questions on this matchup being elite for Najee Harris. So expensive as he is, I think he's certainly a guy that's right at the top of the running back board. Again, I think there's another guy going to give him a run for his money here. We're going to talk about shortly, but love Harris here. So I am also going Pittsburgh minus the 9, Chop. So again, we can add to the parlay card. You can get a little bit different here. Do you have more optimism for the Lions here than Derek and I do?
I kind of do a little bit offensively. Yeah, I mean, I know it's tough. This is a really good Pittsburgh defense, but you watch them play, and there's holes in their defense in the secondary. Guys can get around, can get loose, and so that leads me to believe maybe a guy like Hockenson can find the hole and find the right matchup and have a decent game. So I'll be playing some Hockenson and obviously Swift, because check down city, if you start to get blown out, you're going to get plenty of check downs. But other than that, yeah, those are the 2 guys right there. For Pittsburgh, oh, man. Yeah, I mean, Freiermuth, sure. Claypool was banged up. I guess we got to check and make sure he's practicing this week and everything, because if he's the last man standing if Deontay Johnson's the last man standing in that receiving core, then we got a serious play. And Najee Harris, just, I got to, circle back on this one. I didn't draft this guy in any of the best balls over the summer or getting later in August, because I just thought it's too hard for a running back to be good with a really bad offensive line consistently. So I wasn't in on that train, and I couldn't have been more wrong, man. Obviously, we know he's really good, but he's done it, man. 5 straight games now with a touchdown. Every game this year, at least 3 targets, and sometimes he's hit double-digit targets. So he just gets the work in the run, at the goal line, in the passing game. He's everything in there. He is like their entire offense right now. So, yeah, you got to play that. We talk about volume. That's volume right there. So, best running back on the slate for me, I'd play him. But because of Big Ben, I don't really like the other guys. Maybe a little Freiermuth, like I said. But there will be no parlay card on this one added to it, because I hear you guys. And I was kind of like, didn't know, but I think I'm seeing the light now. I think coming off a bye week, I think I'll be going with Detroit here. I think I'm going to take Detroit, because I just watch Big Ben back there sometimes, and I kind of don't think it matters what the matchup is. It could be the best matchup in the world. The guy's just bad. He's awful right now. So I don't know how many points Pittsburgh can put up. What are they going to? What's their cap here, man? 24 points typically, unless they get lucky. So I think we can hang within a big spread here with the Detroit side. So I'm taking Detroit.
Are you seeing the light, or you're blinded by the light here, Chuck?
You know what? This will be like the 6th week in a row I picked Detroit, and they keep losing. So right now we're just on the martingale. We're on the martingale system now, man.
All right. Well, I think Najee Harris could do it on his own here in this matchup. Detroit gives up a ton of fantasy points, 2nd most fantasy points to the running back position, behind the Jets. So, but hey, you go out on a limb sometimes. So Detroit plus the 9 for Chop. Moving on, next game, another big spread here. Tampa Bay minus 9.5 traveling to Washington. Total sitting at 51.5 in this one. Both teams coming off a bye here. So, Chop, we'll stay with you. I think the story here, we got to keep an eye on these Tampa Bay receivers. Antonio Brown sheds his walking boot, but does not practice today. Chris Godwin suddenly pops up on the injury report as well. So, this is a smash spot for this passing game. I don't think you could design a better matchup here. If one of these guys is out, it feels like the double stack with Brady is the way to go here. Other side, we'll see if Ryan Fitzpatrick is able to come back, if there's any controversy there with him and Heineke. Logan Thomas, designated for return, but still feeling a little bit sore, in quotes. What was the last report I saw? And McLaurin, obviously a guy in a good spot on that side against this Tampa team. You can't run against, and Gibson has not been very effective anyway. So, Chop, a lot of intrigue in this one, as you'd expect. Big total here. Those injuries on the Tampa Bay receiving room we got to keep an eye on. How does this one play out? Is this another smash spot for Brady and the boys here against Washington?
I think it is. And I think what we've seen from Washington's defense this year, and Brady, I think that leads me to believe Brady should have a pretty big game here. And it kind of doesn't matter. As long as he has one of those guys, either Evans or Godwin or Brown, but Evans for sure looks like he's healthy. So just having Mike Evans in there, and we've seen he can get the ball to Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson and these guys. He has no issues spreading it around and making everybody viable. And he's got his tight ends and getting healthier now. So yeah, Brady's in a smash spot. I love the passing game here. Probably going to pass on the running game, the running backs for Tampa. And on the flip side, Washington, love them coming off of a bye week here. I love the passing game here, specifically Terry McLaurin. I think Tampa's secondary is getting healthier, but they're still really not anywhere near where they thought they were going to be to start the year with the injuries. So I think McLaurin's in for a big game coming off the bye week. Whoever's delivering him the ball is going to have a pretty decent game. And so I'm on the passing games here. And if I'm on the passing games and I'm that much intrigued by this offensively, I got to take the over.
Yeah, I love this game. I'm going to lock in Tampa, though. I think they roll here. I have a hard time believing Washington can stop this offense, Derek. So, and maybe they do enough offensively to cruise this over that 51. So I don't hate the over here as well. But love the McLaurin call. He's definitely, to me, the run back option on any Brady stacks. Again, tough to trust Gibson dealing with that injury. Plus, we know Tampa's so stout against the run. So are you as high here on Tampa Bay as Chop and I?
Yeah, you guys summed it up perfectly. You wait and see who's active for Tampa Bay. You double stack Brady. If it's Evans and Godwin, that's great. Gronk's questionable. Antonio Brown looking closer to doubtful in my mind. So, Evans and Godwin looking pretty good right now, but Godwin's also questionable. Love the double stack. Washington, one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. You can't run on Tampa, so bring it back with Terry McLaurin. Coming off the bye week, I like that quite a bit. I was debated between Tampa and the over, so I'm going to go with the over. I think Washington puts up a little bit of a fight. I don't know if they cover the spread at home, but give me the over.
All right, Derek, we'll stay with you. First question. Did you place a money line wager on your team last week? There had to be some astronomical odds.
Well, if you pull up the picks of our little spreadsheet, I picked Buffalo, and I was pretty confident in that pick, so I did not play the money line on the Jags.
All right, well, you got another chance here this week, another spot where they are big underdogs traveling to Indianapolis. Colts by 10.5 here as of this recording, 47.5 on the total here, Derek. So a hell of a win, no doubt. Now, it wasn't pretty, but it was the defense that really got it done there, limiting that Buffalo offense. Another tough task here. This Colts offense playing at a very high level. This is the other spot I was referring to where I think Jonathan Taylor runs neck and neck here with Najee Harris as kind of the high-end premium running back that's in an amazing spot here. Harris, probably a little bit better matchup. Jacksonville not been as bad against the run as Detroit has, but massive game out of Taylor last week. I think you could find some decent leverage here on a guy like Michael Pittman if you wanted to go that route, even Carson Wentz. But Jacksonville, Derek, it looks like they're getting James Robinson back. That will help, but Indy been pretty stout against running backs so far this year. So your team, do they stand a chance here in this game against the Colts?
I don't know. I mean, I thought they already played their Super Bowl earlier in the season when they got a win, and then they had an even better outing last week. So I don't know. You set your expectations low, and anything over that, is gravy. So I don't have a ton of interest in the Jags from a DFS standpoint. We know the Colts like to keep everything in front of them. Maybe you punt with Dan Arnold. I don't hate that call. James Robinson's obviously going to help the offense as a whole, but pretty tough matchup for him. If he's going to get there, it's probably going to be through the passing game, which I don't mind, but there are a lot of good running back plays this week, and one of them, which you mentioned, is Jonathan Taylor in a smash spot for sure. Jaguars defense doesn't look bad on paper against the run, but still 10-point favorites at home, indoors seems like a really good spot for Taylor. And then if the Jags keep it close, you got to think it's a good spot for Pittman as well. So there are some interesting pieces here, but I think the Colts roll in this one. Give me then to cover the spread.
All right. This is another one I'm torn on. I like the Colts. I'm thinking about an under here. I'm going to go under. I think the Colts control this game and really salt it away at the end. Again, that Jacksonville offense was not impressive. They get the win, but Trevor Lawrence still struggling a little bit, and I don't think Robinson's going to run nuts here. So I'm going to go under on this one. So, Chop, you got an Indy play, an under play. Did the Jags have any shot here? And who are you looking at DFS-wise outside of Jonathan Taylor, who's obviously in a great spot?
No, I don't think the Jags have any shot here. So you can already put me down for Indianapolis on that one. But I just don't like anybody on the Jacksonville side either this week. And Indianapolis has been very close this year to, like, their record should be a lot better than what it is. I think they're a better team than the record shows. Wentz is taking care of the ball relatively fine. So I don't mind Wentz to Pittman stacks if you want to be a little different. I don't think anybody's going to do that. Everybody's going to be on Taylor, so the passing wide receiver stack gets ignored. But yeah, Taylor, you got to make sure you have him in your cash games. I believe he's one of those guys. And but I like the Colts side here quite a bit. All those guys are going to play. Wentz, Taylor, Pittman are my favorite, but you never know in a game like this if they run up a 35 spot or a 38 spot, there'll be other guys. There'll be a Zach Pascal who could get in the end zone twice or somebody like that. You keep them all in play. A Mo Alley Cox, because tight end has been just atrocious this year from a DFS standpoint on the main slate. So, and then this week, I think I was seeing that right. I think our top 4 tight ends are out because they're on the island games this week. So you're going to need somebody. So maybe a Jack Doyle or a Mo Alley Cox, you get lucky there for cheap and get you a multi-touchdown game. But I'm on the Colts here, big. Give me the Colts.
All right, you two on the Colts. I'm on Under Island by myself. So before we transition into the afternoon slate, I want to break things down, give some shout-outs to our top performers in our FanDuel OGs contest. So thank you to FanDuel, first of all, for sponsoring the show, for helping set up this contest. And a lot of you guys listen to the show every week already know what this is. Maybe you're new. So what it is, it's a weekly contest, just like anything else. You can find this contest is not sitting in the lobby. You got to go to FanDuel.com/OG, and that's where you'll find both the link to enter the contest and the season-long leaderboard. So this one a little bit different than most contests you enter. The season-long leaderboard is an added bonus with added prizes. We'll talk about that here in a second. But just a $7 buy-in, single entry. The 3 of us are in there. A lot of other Rotogrinders personalities are playing in this contest as well. So gives you guys the opportunity to play on a level playing field with everybody. Wanted the buy-in to be something that everybody could afford at just $7. So go and get entered today. You can just reserve a spot, come back Sunday and lock in your lineup. But their season long is really what makes this an incredible tournament. So you can find this leaderboard, again, FanDuel.com/OG. Only your top 10 scores are going to count in this tournament. So whether you've struggled, whether you've missed a few weeks, whether you're just joining now, you still have a shot at some of these prizes and $10,000 in added prizes. It doesn't even count the payouts that are going into this tournament each week. The winner's taking $500 home every single week of this tournament, but the winner overall is going to walk away with $5,000 on this season-long leaderboard. So an absolutely fun tournament we want to design for you guys. Only 500 spots per week. So again, head over to FanDuel.com/OG. Great way to support the show. Great way to support the sponsor of the show, and a great way for us to all play some DFS together, compete, and have some fun with it. So wanted to give some shout outs to some of the top finishers here. Jay Peters, 6, took 5th place, 138.54. So congrats to them. Looks like Lamar Jackson, Joe Mixon kind of carried that team. Pretty balanced, survived the dud from Rondale Moore. Uncle Mayweather's fourth place here at 139.94. We see another Lamar paired with Hollywood this time. Survived the Brian Edwards bagel here. Nothing. Who a guy I liked last week as well. I thought he would step in and do some production with Ruggs situation, but a big game out of Nick Chubb as well in that lineup. So fourth place to Uncle Mayweather's. Congrats to them. Third place goes to so they're trying to trip me up on the names here. Thelmy, whatever it is, 140.74 for them. So congrats. Third place, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen in that lineup. Survived Kadarius Toney, not doing much. Nick Chubb also appearing in that lineup. Sheepdog, 1775, takes down second place. Good for $250 on that $7 entry. Again, we see Lamar Jackson paired with Hollywood Brown. Decent game out of Justin Jefferson, but a big number from James Conner at just 1.6% ownership, 37.8 on FanDuel helped Sheepdog to that second place finish. And the winner this week, a familiar name here, Rotogrinders contributor, JMB Wing Fan, runs away with this thing, beating the field by 12 points, 158.54. So congrats to JMB. Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen stack in this lineup. Mixon and Chubb at running back, putting up a ton of points here, and survived a DJ Moore. Just 6 points for DJ Moore. So a solid all-around lineup here. JMB Wing Fan taking down the Week 9 contest. Chop, let's take a look at the season-long leaderboard. And old JMB vaulted right up there to number 2, it looks like, still behind 4794, but we got to get the old urinal cakes update, Chop. Where's your boy urinal cakes?
He's drifting down. He's drifting down the toilet, so to speak. He's down to 23rd, but it's fine. That's one big week, and you could be back up in first place in this kind of a contest with the drop score stuff. But the one I really noticed was just kind of drifting down into the 40s range. Our boy Notorious has jumped up and taken over. He's overtaken Dean. So Dean, he's ahead of Dean here. Notorious is at 56, and Dean is drifting back a little bit. So that's good. As long as he can't beat all 3 OGs.
No.
If Dean beats all 3 OGs, then the rule is one of us has to retire. So we don't want that to happen. So Notorious, it's all in your hands because me and Beer are kind of struggling this year on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's definitely been a struggle. We were, not going to sit here and make excuses, but you run multiple lineups. You try to pick one for this contest, and I swear you always pick the wrong one. So, but still, the beauty of this contest, like we talked about, is you still got a shot to improve that position. So, rooting for Noto to keep moving up the board here, and rooting for all you guys. Honestly, it would be awesome to see at the end when somebody walks away with $5,000 just for hanging out here. With the OGs and with FanDuel playing in this contest. So congrats to the Week 9 performers. Congrats to those sitting atop the board, and hopefully we continue to charge up this board. Derek leading our charge here for the OGs. So let's get back to the football. Got a 4-game slate here in the afternoon. Another big spread here. Chop, and we'll stay with you. Carolina and Arizona. Cardinals minus 10.5 here, 44 on the total. So injuries, the story here as well. This one going to be a little tough to break down. We'll see if we get Kyler Murray back in that lineup. DeAndre Hopkins did not practice today. That is Wednesday. So we'll see what his availability looks like. We know that they're going to be without Chase Edmonds for a couple weeks. Left that game very early, which led to James Conner's big game. So a lot of questions on that Arizona side as far as health. Same thing on Carolina's side. Sounds like Sam Darnold going to be out a couple weeks. So we get the XFL star, Chop, PJ Walker stepping in at quarterback here for Carolina. So as good as he was in the XFL, the limited sample we have in the NFL, not been great here. So does this help anybody? Does this hurt this offense? Can he be any worse than what Sam Darnold's been here over the last couple weeks?
Yeah, I think he can. I don't know if he will be, but he definitely can. I think there's a reason why not only was Darnold starting over him, but maintained the job even as he struggled. Maybe PJ Walker's just not that good, really bad. So we're going to see. But the head coach, Matt Rule, this was his quarterback at Temple, I believe it was, his college quarterback. They had a lot of success there. So maybe there's a little chemistry there and it works out for him. So I'm not going to count anything out. But McCaffrey looked really, really spry last week. He looked good. No injury side effects. So I expect him to be back and running real tough. He's going to be one of the elite guys here, back to the elite status pretty soon. So you got that. Now, I'll say this about last week. Boy, I think it was me and Derek that had San Francisco over Arizona. And that was early in the week.
Look. No, it was you and I. Derek was on the over.
Yeah, he got the over. We got shafted and he hit his bet. So it's sad because we should get some points there for closing line value, because when we made that pick, it was I think hell, Arizona was the favorite, and we got them at Frisco as the underdogs practically, and by the time the game kicked off, Frisco was like -3.5. So we should get some bonus points for that. But it was shocking to me how Arizona ran through a pretty decent San Francisco team that really needed to win. And they just keep on rolling without Murray, without Hopkins. They're just a really good team. So, and the defense is, I said it last week, it's shocking how good that defense is. So, with all that being said, Carolina's off the table to me because Arizona's defense is just something I don't want to be dealing with right now. For Arizona, we kind of don't know the status of everybody right now. It makes a difference. Last week when you're without Green and Hopkins, Christian Kirk has a nice explosive first half. James Conner, steps in with an in-game injury and just goes ham. So the injuries, I don't think we fully know what Kyler Murray's going to do this week, if he's going to play and I don't even know if I want to play him, even if he does play, because it's an ankle injury. I want Kyler Murray to run. That's why I've taken him in fantasy, is to run a little bit. If he's not going to do that, then he's kind of not a guy I want to deal with. So DFS-wise, I'm holding out on that until I see what happens with the injuries. And with all that being said, I think Carolina's defense can still come in here and hang a little bit. So I'm taking the under in this game.
Are we buying this James Conner thing, Chop? I mean, he looked great. Big number.
I admitted I was wrong on Najee Harris, and I might have to come back and circle back on James Conner too, because that wasn't just the first week. He's been an actual DFS relevant now just about every week. He's kind of like in the mix. He gets all the goal line work down there practically. And yeah, man, I was wrong. He looks like he's moving a little bit quicker than he was at the end of his stint in Pittsburgh. So he's definitely a viable candidate right now.
All right, Derek, same question to you. Are we buying this James Conner thing? I think he's going to be very popular. The price is still fair, just $7,000 on FanDuel. He's a big home favorite. So checking all the boxes at the running back position. So again, we still have a lot of injury questions in this game, but is Conner for real? I know Benjamin going to steal some work, probably some passing game work. Other side, are you a believer in PJ Walker here? Are we going to see even worse production than we've got with Sam Darnold?
Yeah, it's going to be tough to be worse, but he's certainly capable of it. Christian McCaffrey, haven't seen his snap count from last week, but I think he ended up having 19 touches. So you got to think, he's back to a full-time role. He would be the only guy I would look to on the Panthers. And, man, it's weird. We have this page pulled up right now. We have McCaffrey projected for 13.7 and Conner for 2 more fantasy points than McCaffrey. I was not expecting that at any point this season, but it's warranted. I mean, Conner looked great last week. He's the RB1, the clear RB1 on a team with an implied total of 27.5. Big favorites at home. So, yeah, I like Conner. I'll eat that chalk. And everyone else, just wait and see approach. The guy I will go back to if, some of the Cardinals wideouts are out is Rondale Moore. Burned me last week, burned a lot of people last week, but he's got that big play potential. And I think his ownership should be a lot lower than it was in week 9.
Got a bet here, Derek. Chop locked in the under. I am going with Arizona, laying the points here. I do think PJ is going to struggle. I think McCaffrey will be fine, but Arizona have been pretty stout against running backs. They have a lot of receptions, but I think PJ is going to struggle big time here. I do think Kyler plays. I think Arizona rolls here, so I'm going with the Cardinals. Derek, what do you got on your bet here?
I'm going to employ a chop strategy. If I've already taken a bunch of big favorites, might as well take another one. Give me Arizona.
All right, moving on. We got Minnesota and the Chargers. Another big total on this one, 53. Chargers -3 here in the FanDuel Sportsbook. So Chargers impressive win. Derek going to Philadelphia and getting it done. Minnesota lets one slip away last week. We got this whole Dalvin Cook saga kind of playing out. We'll see what happens with that. But this feels like the game everyone's going to be targeting for DFS. A close spread, two offenses that people know, a lot of big names, a lot of ways you can stack this one. So, A, do you agree with that? B, how do we maybe get a little bit different in this one? Is there some leverage we can find here with Vikings and Chargers?
Yeah, love the game as a whole. Austin Eckler let a lot of people down last week. I think he was over 40% in some contests, some tournaments last week, which was kind of crazy. But he just didn't get the touchdowns, didn't get the yardage that we were expecting. I think he bounces back in a big way. And the first few weeks, I was all over Keenan Allen, and then I was finally like, okay, Mike Williams is the alpha in this offense. And the last couple of weeks, it's been Keenan Allen getting all the targets. So I don't really know what to do with these two. I'll probably just side with the lower owned of the two. You mentioned it's going to be a popular game, so I don't mind just taking the lower owned of the two. You can obviously pair Eckler or these wideouts up with Justin Herbert. It's a good spot for the offense as a whole. And then the Vikings, I'll always play their RB1, whether it's Cook or Madison, and then Justin Jefferson. I don't know why they didn't go back to him a little bit more last week. He had that long touchdown in the first quarter, and then I think he only had one catch after that. So that was a little surprising, but he still is, my favorite wideout in the offense. I don't think you need to play Cousins or Thielen. Conklin's an okay punt play at tight end, but for me, it's Jefferson, the running back, and then bring it back with a bunch of Chargers guys.
All right, what about a bet? I am going to go the over on this one. I'll lock in first here. I do think both these offenses are going to find success here. I love the Herbert stacks. You can mix Eckler into those stacks even. Mike Williams is a guy people are going to avoid with the recent play. I know he's probably dealing with more injuries than we realize, but if he's going to be low owned, I don't mind going there. And like you said, I like the run back with the Minnesota running back. The Chargers have really struggled with running backs. So whether it's Cook, Madison, I like going that route. So over for me, Derek. Favorite bet on this game? What do you got?
I feel like the Chargers are a better team as a whole, so I will take them to cover the 3.
All right. Also like them. This is one I lock in either of those. Maybe a little two-teamer. I like the Chargers there as well. So Chop, favorite bet here, and same question. This one's going to be popular. Is there any ways you see to get different in this one?
Different, no. It's just, the same guys are on the table. Cousins and his pass catch, Jefferson and Thielen are fine. Dalvin Cook, I'm wondering what's going to happen with Dalvin, like you said. I don't know. I was having a debate last night of do you burn the number one waiver spot? If somehow, when Cook came back and Madison was getting limited carries and he got dropped in your league, do you burn your number one spot and take a chance on Madison right now, thinking that maybe Dalvin could eventually get suspended for the rest of the year or something like that. So we'll see how that plays out, but it's interesting. But I think all the Minnesota pieces are in play in this matchup. The Chargers defense, they're banged up, especially in the secondary. They're not playing well. Derek mentioned Mike Williams and how he's, not the alpha anymore. And I don't think it's necessarily because of getting shut down or teams game planning for him or anything like that. It's because he's banged up too. He's hurt. His knees are hurt. So he's having a hard time. It happens in the NFL. In years past, by this point in the year, Mike Williams is already on like the injured reserve for a while. So luckily he's just gutting it out and getting anything he can for you in fantasy. But Herbert, Eckler, Allen, and Williams all in play. I prefer Allen because Williams is a little bit hurt. But then just when you think that, the guys pop up and take a little injection there right before the game and have a monster game, so you never know. But offensively, everybody's in play in this game. One of the most stackable games on the slate, but I'm taking the Chargers here because the Vikings always find a way to lose these games this year, and 3 is just not enough to sway me off of the Chargers. So give me LA.
All right, next game we got Philadelphia and Denver. Denver minus 2.5 here, coming off that impressive win in Dallas. Philly, tough loss at home to the Chargers. Total sitting at 45 in this one. So, Chop, we'll stay with you. Philadelphia, a team that wants to get the running game going. Looks like Jordan Howard was signed to the active roster, so looks like he's going to lead the way here. But you still got Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott in that backfield. They've really taken the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands as far as throwing the ball. I mean, he's only attempting about 15 passes a game here. So kind of limits the upside of guys like Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. But maybe you're more optimistic there. Denver defense still looked okay without Von Miller, still dealing with some injuries. So I don't think it's the same high-level defense. But offensively, Jerry Jeudy inserted back into this offense. Been getting some decent targets, kind of coming at the expense of Cortland Sutton. Noah Fant, we'll see if he's going to be back in that lineup. Sounds that way. And we know this running game has been the same story all season long. This split backfield, tough to trust either guy as well as they're playing. So an interesting game, Chop. I don't know how many pieces you're going to pull out of this one, but a middling total here, close spread. What do you see in this one, Philadelphia and Denver?
I'll keep this one pretty simple, and then we can move on after that because I don't like anybody in this game. If Philly has any success here, it's going to be on the ground, and that's all they've been doing the last couple of weeks. And I can't pick anybody. It's like a three-headed monster. Who are you gonna pick there? So I don't like, for DFS purposes, I really don't like anybody in this game. So with that being said, it's an under game for me. I don't see myself trying to one off any of these guys. This is a matchup of Devontae against Surtain, college teammates. So that should be interesting, but probably not for DFS though. But I'm on the under here. I don't like DFS in this game.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you. I mean, I'm intrigued by Goddard. Continues to get a lot of targets. I am intrigued by Jerry Jeudy, who's still pretty cheap. But all in all, Derek, pretty easy to stay away from this one. Maybe a little skinny stack like that. But Chops on the under. I like Denver here, -2.5. I think they win this game with Philadelphia. Traveling to Denver, always a tough place to win. So thoughts here? Under on the board, Denver on the board. What do you got here, Derek? Philly and Denver.
Yeah, I don't like this game one bit. You mentioned Dallas Goedert. I mean, he's had over a 30% target share since they traded away Zach Ertz, but unfortunately, they're only passing the ball like 15 times a game. So hard to trust him. I mean, that 30% is only turning into 6 targets a game. So I keep chasing it, and it hasn't really been working. He'd be the one guy I would target in this game, but I think you can fade it as a whole pretty easily. And if we're going with the 2.5, yeah, I'll agree with you, Bear. Give me Denver.
All right, last game we got Seattle and Green Bay. So quarterbacks, the question here, but sounds like Russell Wilson is ready to go. That finger is all healed up. Aaron Rodgers on the other side, can be cleared on Saturday. So kind of have to wait and see on this one. But the spread, the number, it seems to indicate that they expect Rodgers to play as well. We got Green Bay -3.5 here at home, 49.5 on the total. And as a Packer fan, I sure as hell hope it's not Jordan Love. I mean, that was just a debacle. They do some stuff late, but a boring game there. Kansas City and Green Bay, disaster. So Green Bay comes up short. Seattle coming off their bye. We also may have the return of Chris Carson to this lineup, Derek. He was activated off the IR. We'll see if he's able to return here. Sounds like he's going to be back at practice. I think he was back at practice today. So thoughts, this one high total, two offenses that can certainly get it done. I really like the Wilson to one of Lockett or Metcalf. They never seem to both get there, but and then you run it back probably with an Adams. We've seen A.J. Dillon really start to eat in to a lot of Aaron Jones workload. So should be a fun game to wrap this up. High total game here, Derek. So what are we doing in this one, Seattle and Green Bay?
Should be a fun game for sure. And if both quarterbacks are active, I love the idea of a skinny stack here. You mentioned it, Metcalf or Lockett, bring it back with Adams. I don't really need the quarterbacks here. I mean, but Wilson has a little bit of a higher ceiling than Rodgers at this point. But I think just targeting, one of the wide receivers from each team is kind of the way I want to attack this one. Aaron Jones, like you mentioned, you can get there. He's one of those guys that can be crazy efficient. So you can add him to your player pool as well. And for my pick, man, it feels like a field goal game, but I hate betting against Green Bay at home. So I'm just going to take the over.
All right, I'm going to lock in Green Bay here. I think we're getting a good number. If we do see Rodgers, I think this one goes up a little bit, actually. So I still think there's a little bit of question here, but to me, Seattle, a little bit overrated, always a public team, so their number always feels a little light. 3.5 just feels too low here. So Green Bay for me, Derek, I don't disagree with Jones as a play. As far as the matchup goes, certainly Seattle been terrible against running backs. But Chop, I worry a little bit about A.J. Dillon working in more and more each and every week. So Adams, the preferred run back for me. So finish this up, Chop. Seattle, Green Bay. What do you got?
Yeah, if both quarterbacks are active, like it sounds like they're trending towards, then I think you could have some offensive fireworks here in the passing game mainly. So I would probably lean Metcalf over Lockett, but who knows? If Aaron Rodgers is back, Devontae becomes steps back into that number one wide receiver in the NFL role. So I like that aspect of it. And the real debacle there in that Kansas City game was that crazy Jordan Love touchdown in the last 90 seconds to bust the spread on us. So that was sad, but it happens. It happens. But, I mean, obviously a lot to unwind here with the injuries. So it's tough to make a pick, but I'm going to assume Aaron Rodgers is back this week. And if he is back and he has Devontae and nobody major is missing, I want Green Bay here.
All right, locking in Green Bay, and that will do it. The old parlay card looking lonely once again. One pick on the card. So it's kind of been a theme here of late. The picks have been pretty solid, though, and we have agreed. So we're going with Cleveland, New England under 45.5 as the only agreement here amongst the three of us. And that will wrap up the analysis here for Week 10. Again, make sure you guys head over to FanDuel.com/OG. Again, a great way to support the sponsor of the show. We appreciate FanDuel for sponsoring us. Also, a great way to hang out and play some DFS against us in that contest. So all the details there, enter there, see the leaderboard there at FanDuel.com/OG. Also, make sure you guys are checking out scoresandodds.com for anything sports betting. Just tons of information there. See all these different odds across all the different sports books, finding your best price there, analytics, trends, look at the matchups between the two teams over the last few years, just a wealth of information there. So make sure you guys head over there. Again, that's scoresandodds.com. So guys, final thoughts here, Week 10. Noto, let's go to you. What do you got for the people?
Yeah, I was browsing through the FanDuel Sportsbook. Tom Brady plus 340 to win MVP. I was looking at their schedule the rest of the way. I think they're going to be at least 7-point favorites in every game but one the rest of the way. And we know they want to get him the MVP. That we know they don't have much of a ground game right now. So I love that bet if you want to place a future there. And for everyone out there, thanks for listening. Good luck this week. Join the OG contest and let's make a run of this thing. We need a better week from the OGs.
Yep, this is the week. I'm feeling it. One of us is gonna take this baby down, and we're gonna make our charge. So, thank you to the chat. Active as always. Shlomo, I see you in there. Appreciate it. All the regulars that are here each and every week with us, we appreciate it. And Josh Duck nailing it in the chat. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Whether you're listening live, you're catching it at your leisure down the road. We'd appreciate that thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Chop. Final thoughts, Week 10. What do you got?
I've been getting a lot of DMs and messages on Rotogrinders Discord and on Twitter. People are asking how the season long is doing.
Oh, yeah, we need the update.
I have to say 7-2 and number one in points, most points so far. So, drafting that Stafford to Cup connection is paying off. So I hope to keep the momentum rolling.
All right, well, stick with season long and stay off of getting people to move your stuff, and you'll be all right. So, yeah.
Tough scene for Chop Man.
Hey, at least you made it work. So, again, thank you all for listening. Thank you to FanDuel for sponsoring the show. For Chop, for Notorious, I am Beer. We are the DFS OGs. Again, thank you for listening. Best of luck in your contests and your bets this week, and we'll see you next week.